have the power.
Hey Hebrew fans, yes, I finally got her. There she is. Oh, let's open her up and check her out and see how cool she is. There she is, Evil-Lyn Vintage Collection. And yes, I had to buy her overseas and pay quite the shipping and handling, as well as the super duper inflated price. She is the only one I could find on eBay. There are other ones. I'll put a link in the description for the other ones on eBay. But let's check this out. This is the Vintage Collection one, and she is based on this figure right here. Now, this figure's been altered a little bit, as in I gave her the 1989 Batman cape, and I also put a rubber band on her back and gave her a little cool dagger from the 2000X Castle Grayskull. So those are not normally part of her. Now, the original figure, they had two different variants. One that had a glowing in the dark orb, and one that did not. This one is the glow in the dark one. Boop, boop, brr. All right, so let's go ahead, and then we got Classics. Now, again, this Classics has been customized a little bit. I added this cape on her. Normally the cape was purple, but I painted it blue so it would match her motif. But here's how she came. Nice and yellow, some green eyeshadow on there, and very cool looking. And this was the Classics version we got of the yellow Evil-Lyn. And now we have the Vintage. Now, I'm not going to look at the Origins. It's very close to the Vintage, so we're not going there. But let's go ahead and take a look at the back of the box. On the back of the box, they have some cool artwork, very similar to the original artwork we saw back in the 80s with the ball showing a vision of some sort. Pretty cool. And then it shows her right there. Whew, the one they have in the picture looks worse than the one in the box. She looks horrible. I'm glad they changed her before we got her. And there's the contents. And you could tell it's on a foreign box because I got it from a foreign country. All right, let's go ahead and open her up and see what she's all about. Oh, it's funny too. Look how close I was to the actual size. Look at that. Look at that. That's so funny. So you can see my rough guesstimate that I threw together for the last video before I got her. Now, what's cool about this is this completes my Masterverse female figure line. I have every single Masterverse female now, and they aren't making any more, so I'm done. I got them all. Hooray! I finally have a full collection of something. Usually I'm missing one or two figures somewhere in the line, but this time, now granted I don't have every single Masterverse, just every female Masterverse. Even Motherboard, which people will debate back and forth if she counts the same. Alright, so there's the figure. Let's set her against my TV, and let's look for the Cracker Jack prize. And there is one. And this Cracker Jack prize is not taped, it's sealed. Now, if you watch one of the videos, you'll see I go through and some are taped and some are sealed. This one is sealed. So let's open it up and see what we got in here. We got a weird flame ball. Flame on! We got an extra... Oh, it's a small one. It's just a handheld one. And then, of course, somehow this goes on the staff. And that has a tight fit. There we go. Just like that. Let's get that back off of there. And we got some extra yellow hands. Another claw hand and a fist so she can punch people in the jaw. Wow, that's it. Just 2 extra hands. All right, let's get rid of this garbage. And let's go ahead and finish opening her up. Now, I am a little annoyed because she does have a gap right there on her leg. And I know it's kind of a random thing. And it's funny, before I bought it, I was really debating because the guy had a stock picture. And it's like, you know, he can either pick out a good one for me or a bad one. And I was really hoping he had 2 left. I know it's not fair to somebody else to give me a good one, but it's just annoying when you buy and you can't see it ahead of time. And normally I'd buy like 2 or 3 of these just so I can pick out the good one. So I'm a little annoyed about the slight gap, because you guys know in the past I have failed trying to fix those gaps. Now, whenever they have capes on, I like to cut the plastic so we don't ruin the cape trying to get it through the hole. And she has bands on. Bands on the run. Any more bands? Yep. Up on her forearm, or up on her triceps up here, and her elbows. There you go. All that, her cape comes off. Could have just pulled it through the other direction. There we go. Buckles in there. And let's talk about articulation. We have ankle articulation. Rolls around, everything else. We have a boot cut, double jointed knees that are frozen. She has a thigh cut, which has my gap right there. No gap. And this opens and closes right there. And then on this side, we have shoulder. No bicep cut. Boo. A single jointed elbow that's also frozen. I'll have to fix that later. And then this hand goes back and forth. And this one also goes back and forth. And then, of course, her head moves. These joints are really frozen. This figure almost feels different. I wonder if they have different rules when it comes to the plastic being released in a foreign country. I'm just afraid that she's not going to be released in the US. And that's why I bought her for the price I did. Because I keep checking that Walmart. And it's never had her for sale. And so, and I've checked eBay, and there's just so few auctions on eBay. And I've even checked other sites that are outside the US, and they don't have any either. And I know a lot of times when you have figures at the end of the line, they'll not make as many, they'll produce a lot less. All right. I have to admit though, her face does look a whole lot better than I was expecting when I first saw the pictures online. Granted, I do like the way the picture they had for the prototype looked a little bit better, but it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. All right, so let's compare to the vintage, the real vintage, and you can see she's got the same sort of head and the same sort of armor and stuff and the same kind of boots. The color's way different though, but it's very similar, and her staff looks the same as the one she has in her hand right now. So there we go. Very similar. She is sporting a cape. The original one did not have a cape. I added that myself. So I'm not sure how I feel about the cape being added. Granted, it is removable, but the furry part is not, that goes all the way up. So if they would have made the whole thing removable, I would have been okay with it. So technically, that makes it so she's not truly a vintage by having that cape on there and having it non-removable. All right, compared to classics, very comparable again as well. The classics was based on the original card art on the back of the packages, so you can see how similar that is. All right, and we got other Evil-Lyns from the Masterverse. We got, of course, everyone's favorite lingerie Evil-Lyn, scuba attack Evil-Lyn, mage Evil-Lyn, going out on the town Evil-Lyn, and then we have, oh, this Evil-Lyn is so cool looking. And then we have Movie Masters Evil-Lyn. There we go. Those are all the Evil-Lyns that they made for Masterverse. Wow. 1, 2, well, this one is a custom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Evil-Lyns, right? Yes. There we go. Cool, cool. So, if you take a look, this Evil-Lyn is probably the closest in matching to her. Which is funny, we saw the same thing with Teela when we got those two Teelas that were so close. Here's the Vintage Collection one. They called it New Eternia. There she is. And you can just see how close those two Teelas are. People mix them up all the time. So it's just so close in aesthetics. And even have the same wristbands. So it's just kind of funny. The same armbands too. Same arms probably. Same legs, same boots. And this one here, same thing. We got the same armbands. We got the upper torso is different. And we do have the same boots. Now the legs, nope, same legs. So there's a lot of similarities. In fact, if you remember, the original Vintage Evil-Lyn looked just like the original Vintage Teela, except for one was yellow and had a different head. So let's compare it to the Vintage Teela and see if they use the same. And it looks like they did. Look at that. That is the exact same torso. And even the thing coming up here, what's different is this one comes down a little further and then has a cape on there. So super, super close. Wow, I don't know why this didn't go exactly the same. I mean, I do like the cape. It's a great addition. But I would have loved if it was exactly the same too. It's kind of a throwback to the original 80s. Anyway, it's super close though. What the heck? Look at this. They are not the same. They are not the same. Look at the size of the triangle. This triangle is bigger than this triangle here, which means it is a different sculpt. That's crazy. It's so close. And then, of course, we know the torso is a different sculpt too because of the fur that's attached. Weird. Maybe it's a separate piece that was glued on later. Oh yeah, you can see right there the collar where it breaks apart. Yep, right here on her too. Right there, that's where the separation is. So it is the same torso, just a different collar piece. So they must have planned ahead to make Evil-Lyn, knowing they were going to have that little bit different thing. All right. I am so glad I got her. Hopefully you guys can get her too. I hope they release her in the US, but she is a cool figure. And the last female figure made in Masterverse, the last male figure is going to be Wonder Bread E-Man. But very cool. Very cool. All right, thanks for watching. Like they say in the 1987 movie, good journey, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye now.
If you found enjoyment, like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Do it!